Welcome back. I'm Roy with Rugged Badger Racing and Team Parts Badger. This is our Champ Car and Grid Life Miata, and today we're going to be talking about the rear wing. All right, so here we have the rear wing on the car. Now, if you notice, the wing is set back and it's roughly in line with the bump out of the rear bumper, right around that midpoint, but it's substantially further back than the rear axle. So what's going to happen when this has downforce, it's going to press down, it's going to put weight on the rear, but it's also going to lift the front. That's a problem because the front of the Miata is aero limited, especially with series rules like Grid Life. You can only have a 3-inch splitter. That means that your front grip limited, you're not going to be able to get as much aerodynamic downforce on the front. So what we want to do is move the wing forward. But that's not all. You'll also notice from a height perspective, the wing is roughly in line with the roof line. Now, you would think, okay, the air is going to pass over and you're going to get clean air. That's not really the case, because the rear hardtop on this, I just measured it, and that window is at a 30-degree angle. And 30 degrees is far too much for air to stay attached to that hardtop. We know from our fastback research that the most you can have is about 12 degrees of slope to keep the air attached. What that means is the air coming off this hardtop is tumbling. That's producing drag, and it's also wrecking the efficiency of this wing. So when we were running at Autobahn, we were running the splitter end plates, and we had too much front downforce, and even at maximum wing angle, we were not able to balance the car out. So the wing is not performing at its ideal efficiency. So what we want to do is move this forward and move it up. Champ Car rules say it can be no more than 12 inches above the roof, and it can be, no part can be forward of the rear axle. Grid Life rule, I believe they have the rear axle rule. They have no limit on height. So let me show you what we did. So here we have some new brackets. Now you may look and compare these brackets and you say, okay, these are a little bit taller brackets, but that's not all. What we're doing is we're actually going to move the wing forward. So we're going to use the 9 Lives Racing mounting point, and we're going to place the wing further forward. And the reason we want to do that is because it's really tricky to get these wings mounted, and I did not want to change the mounting location. On this, it also gets weaker as you move further forward, and I want other people to be able to use these as well if they work. That's not the only thing we did with these. So yes, they are taller. It's going to sit the wing higher up. It's going to move the wing forward, not all the way, but forward enough that we're not going to lose front downforce. But these are also a little bit thinner. So when we look at these brackets are 3/8 of an inch. These brackets are a 1/4 inch. And what we did is we changed up the material. So these brackets are made out of 70/75 T6 versus 60/61 T6. And the 1/4 inch bracket should have the identical strength to the 3/8 bracket because we're using a stronger material, and it results overall in a much lighter weight. So let's get these swapped over on the car, see where the wing fits, and let's see how stable it is. All right, first side is done. This is what we're looking at here. Now the wing mounts right up here, and you can see as comparison to this one here, it is quite a bit further forward and higher up. Try to get level. These, I know it's kind of hard to see with the contrast. Now as far as rigidity, that one wiggles back and forth. That one wiggles back and forth as well. And I think just from a leverage perspective, this one has a little bit more, but it's nothing egregious. So let's go ahead and remove this one, get the second one bolted up, and let's see if the wing actually fits. And there we have it. So you can see it's moved further forward. We definitely could go further a little bit more. I'll get an exact measurement on how much according to the rules. We're also substantially higher. If you can look at the height here, you know, we're maybe about 8 inches above the roof. And I'll get an exact measurement on that as well. So now I do have to trim the trunk lid. So I have that measured here, and it looks like I need to take this much extra out in order to lift the trunk lid and have that clear what's going on back here. So I'm going to trim that real quick, get the trunk lid on, and then we'll do some testing. And there we have it. Definitely looks interesting, but I bet you that's going to be way more effective. So from a testing perspective, first, I think I want to try to stand on this thing. Now, I'm about 170 pounds wet, so we'll see if this thing can support me. And then I have the car out here because I'm going to take that for a spin. Oh yeah, definitely can support me. It's a little wobbly, but it definitely, like, it hits a point where it'll catch. So we'll see. Luckily I got a Grid Life race coming up, and the Grid Life race isn't going to be crazy amounts of time. So if this gets too wild, I think I'll be able to fix it. But I don't think there's any way around this without switching up the mounting method. Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels sturdy, orthogonal to the earth. All right, let's hop in and take this thing for a test drive. Right out of the gate, we got a problem. Voltage. My alternator is not working. Yeah, there's nothing in here that'd be causing that I'm aware of. All right, yeah, I guess let's figure that out before we go for a spin. It's probably not a good thing, but the alternator just started working. Just on a whim. I don't know what would cause that. Let's drive it and see what happens. And the alternator just cut out again. Now, unfortunately, that testing got cut short. I didn't get it up to a ton of speed, but I believe this is just stable enough to work for application. Now, I am going to be doing more testing, but overall, I'm really happy. If I had more stability, that means it's too much weight. If I have less stability, it means these things will probably end up cracking. So I'm pretty happy where this ended up overall. I'm going to keep an eye on it, do some more testing. I also found that alternator issue, which happens to just be a connector on a plug that was bad from the original build. So we'll go ahead and get that fixed. Let's talk about wing position. So I did some measurements here, and it was rough to ballpark this, but we wanted to get this close but not over the axle. We actually have about 4 inches further that we could go. Now, I don't want to move this any more forward because I think we're going to lose the stability that we need out of these mounts unless we move those mounting locations, which that's a whole nother can of worms. I'm going to keep the 9 Lives Racing mounting locations right now. As for the height, we put a level on the high point of the car, and we are at exactly 10 inches from the high point of the car to the top of this end plate, which I think is just about perfect. What that allows us to do is run different end plates. We can run a second element if we want, and we have plenty of clearance off the top of the car to get out of that turbulence. I believe that's going to improve drag overall. That's going to improve overall downforce efficiency and performance as well, and give us more downforce total on the car because of the position overall. We're not going to be taking downforce off the front of the car, which is a major issue that we were having. So I'm really happy with the position of the supports. All right, so we'll call that a wrap. Now, if you're interested in getting these, let me know. We are partnering with Beyond Motorsports for these. They helped us out to get these on the car, and they're going to be selling these as well. I will put a link in the video if you're interested in getting these. These will work with the standard 9 Lives Racing supports, and you can swap those out to move your wing into a much better position. I think it's going to be more efficient. You're going to have less drag, and you're going to have more total downforce as well, because you're not going to be taking downforce off the front of the car, which means you can run substantially less wing. So I think this is going to be a win-win-win. It's also about the same weight as the struts that were on there before. Because we're using a stronger material, we're just using less of it. Nonetheless, that's the video. I appreciate everybody for watching. If you like this content, please remember to like and subscribe below. We have tons of updates to the car to go over. Those will be on video, including the dyno coming up as we get ready for Grid Life.